It may feel like overkill to have a second tutorial for the annuity spreadsheet. However, I thought that since I did a couple of revisions on this, that it might be helpful, especially for you visual learners, to see it walked through maybe from a different perspective as well. The first thing is to make sure you put your name. This is a personal annuity worksheet, which means each of you will be turning in an individual one. You will not be working with a partner or with a group, so if you need to pause this and work on your own so that everything works out great, then do so. You can always rewind it and move forward. So I'm going to type Sister Bowman because we are at BYU, Idaho. And I go by Sister because professor sounds weird. So I'm going to use the same information found in your PDF, and that would make the principal $1,000. Compounds are given to us of 12. The APR is 8%, and a payment increasing your your investment by $50 every month. So the first thing I want to do is fill out this template perfectly according to the numbers that are given to you on the PDF. Once you've finished it and it looks beautiful, then you need to go back and personalize it by picking something else. Change every single one of these boxes to something different than I've already given you. So the principal is, I'm going to go ahead and reference my principal. To reference a cell, make sure you do an equal sign and click just one left click on the principal, and pressing enter will then reference that cell. The interest now, I'm going to do an equal sign because I want it to calculate, and I need to take my interest, which was 8%. Now, because I want it to always reference this cell, D7, I'm going to press F4 for an absolute cell reference. If you are finding that F4 is not working on your computer, you can go ahead and type in dollar signs. The dollar sign in front of the D says that I'm referencing column D, and it's an absolute column reference. Then the dollar sign in front of the 7 makes it an absolute row reference, and therefore D7 makes it the absolute D and the absolute 7, and it will always go to this cell. So I'm going to take that, but remember I'm compounding it, so I'm going to divide by compounds. Again, that is always going to be the cell I want to reference. So once again, I'm going to press F4, and then I need to times this by the principal. Press enter, and I will be earning $6.67 in interest. Now over here, I can either type in $50. However, because you are going to be changing things, I want to do a cell reference so I don't have to change this all over the place. I just have to change my 4 boxes. So I'm going to cell reference the 50 instead of typing 50, and then when I change this in my personal project, it will change it where I referenced it. Now, once again, we're going to think, wait a minute. The payment is going to be $50. That means always reference this cell, so F4. Or you can press Shift 4 in front of the D, so you just put your cursor here. In fact, for those of you who are experiencing that problem, I'm going to reference this, and if F4 is not working for you, Shift 4, move your cursor again, Shift 4, enter, and it will always reference there. My total means I'm going to add everything to the left. So I need it to calculate. To make Excel calculate, you press an equal sign, just like a calculator, and I'm going to use a built-in Excel function. So I'm going to type in sum. This will add all of the cells that I put inside of here, and I want this cell, and this cell. Now because they are all to the left, I'm going to left click here, hold the click down, and move over, and it's going to say all of these cells will be added. Now if you're not comfortable with that, you can just say equals, because I want it to work like a calculator, cell reference, add, cell reference, add, cell reference. It is all up to you. It doesn't matter. Any way will work. Now the next month, the principal has changed. It has changed to my new total from the previous month. So I'm going to press equals and cell reference last month's total for my new principal. Now here I can do equals and make it calculate the interest, which would be, again, 8% divided by the compounds times the principal. And over here, if you had forgotten to F4, you can highlight an F4. So now you have a third way, just to make sure that you can get that as an absolute cell reference. We could do that again, or since this equation is perfect and this references everything that I need, I'm going to get my plus sign or crosshairs or whatever you want to call it, left click once and pull, and it will copy that same formula down here. Now notice the absolute cell reference will reference these, but this last one, when I said times the principal, do not cell reference that one because I don't want this principal to be the principal the entire time. I need it to change because I'm compounding. So when I didn't absolute cell reference and I click and drag, let's double click in here and see what happens. I clicked and dragged down 1, which means I'm going to cell reference over here down 1. And if I continue to drag, now of course nothing's filled in, so it's going to get a little confused, but right here you'll see these stayed with the absolute cell reference, but this, as I click and drag down 1, it will follow me down 1, and so forth. Down 1, so now I'm at C16. Okay, so over here, because I absolute cell referenced, this will always be the $50. Over here, again, I did the sum of everything, and I'm going to click and drag. There we go. And it's going to continue taking the sum. Now, because I didn't do an absolute cell reference on this, it will take the sum of the cells to the left, these left 3 cells, because those are the cells I wanted. And when I click and drag, it'll take the next 3 cells, the next row down, and so forth. Now, the reason I had to do this next row is because I need to reference the principal from the month before. But now, this row is perfect. This has the absolute cell reference of the principal and the compounds, but not the absolute cell reference of the principal to the left, because when I click and drag, I need it to change. The payments are cell referenced, and this one is referencing these left 3 and adding, and this is referencing the total above. So when I click and drag down here, this one is now referencing this cell. This is still referencing the compounds and the APR, but it's doing my new principal. And if you're not sure, you can always double click. One of the kind of tricky things here is once you double click in here, it's really easy to try and come over and click on something else. And then it'll start putting that cell in. Oh, I'm trying to make it do something wrong. Oh, well, it's not doing it. So hopefully on yours you won't. But however, sometimes if you click inside here and then click a different cell, it'll pop it in and you didn't want that. So to not do that, get in the habit of pressing enter to get out of that once you've double clicked. Okay, but now that all of those are perfect, I can highlight the entire row, and that was just a left click, one left click, and hold it down and pull it over. Then get your little crosshairs or plus sign or cross sign over here and pull it all the way down. And now you have all of them filled in. And we can come down here, total interest. Any ideas what you can do to find the total interest in this column? Well, we have 2 ways. We can type in each individual cell and put an addition sign, but we just went over the Microsoft Excel formula. You can type in sum with a parenthesis, and now we have our Microsoft Excel. Come down here, highlight all of those. That was one left click. Continue to hold, drag it, let go. You can close off the parenthesis or you can leave it. Excel is okay either way, and press enter, And there you go, you've just added those up. Now one thing that ends up coming out when you drag all of your equations down is this is no longer highlighted. It would be to your benefit and to mine because I'm grading it and you're also checking your iteration, these three here. You're checking those three, so it would be beneficial for you and for me just to quickly highlight it again, come up here and fill it in. Yellow's good. Oops, don't want that. Control Z. All right, now we need to fill in the iteration method. I need your total here and how you got it. And down here, the formula method and the equation of how you got it, and same with the Excel method. So you have three different ways. Excel is very versatile and you get to do whatever you want. Okay, so here the iteration method, the total for month 9, here's 9, here's my total. So I'm going to right click, copy, left click in here and press Control V to paste it. Oh, it's going to add the 3 next to me. So let's come over here and let's say copy, and in this one I'm going to press paste special. Now the reason it did the 3 next to me is that was the formula 1, 2, 3, and so for this one it's going to try and add the next 3 cells, and you can kind of see it in between these. It'll add this, this, and this, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to press paste special, and I'm just going to paste the value. There we go. So now it matches, and double click in there or press enter to get you out of it. Now the equation. What did you do here? We can come up here or we can come down here and double click, either way, and we added these 3 cells. So I want to copy these 3 cells here, or I can do it up here, doesn't matter. Copy, and this is how I came up with it. Oops. That's one of those things I told you to beware. Press enter to get out of it. Now I'm going to come in here. Now, if you copied the equal sign, it's going to calculate it. So to make it not calculate, you can either get rid of the equal sign or you can put a symbol in. You can do a quotation mark, or I guess that would be an apostrophe, a little squiggly sign. I don't care. Anything so it won't calculate what you've put in there. And I don't have the equal sign. You can put it in, you can leave it out, either way. But that's how it is, and it's not calculating it because we put that little symbol in saying, don't calculate this, but show me what I did do. Okay, let's move down to the next one, the formula method. This one, if you're not familiar with, you should probably go back into your book and do some compound interest and get really familiar with doing this one. So the formula, I need my principal, but in this case I'm not going to type in 1000 times parenthesis 1 plus, and then you find the APR, which is 0.08, because when you personalize this you'll have to go back and type all of that back in. So I'm going to do some cell references and use Excel to its full potential. Now I want it to calculate like a calculator, so you can just toss your calculator away at this point instead of writing it out. Now some of you are tactile learners and that's fine. Go ahead and use your calculator, but this right here might be really beneficial because you're just referencing, and then you can go back and make sure that you actually made the correct cell references and it'll calculate it for you. Now I have to come up, but remember I'm looking for the formula method, and if you ever get confused it shows you what you're typing in up here. Now I need to reference the principal because I know it goes P times parenthesis. Now when we're doing this by hand we usually do shift parenthesis, right? Or just parenthesis by hand. Microsoft Excel does not understand what to do between that cell and the parentheses, so you need to tell it to multiply, although by hand you wouldn't need to put it in. Now I need 1 plus APR. I could type it in, but remember I want to change these. So I'm going to reference my cell, divide by my cell reference here, close parenthesis. So that was shift 0. Then shift 6 gives me my exponent. and that would be NY. So, oh, but wait, I'm not going even a full year. I could do 12 if I was going to go for a year and a half or something, but I want to check it with month 9. So I'm just going to reference here 9. But that was only the original principal. I'm adding in a payment now of $50. So I need to add the payment formula. So I need to reference payment times shift 9, 1 plus APR, reference it, don't type it in, divided by compounds, shift 0, shift 4 or 6 for your exponent. Again, remember, I'm checking it with month 9, and then I need to subtract 1, and all of this should be inside parentheses as well. So I'm going to do shift parenthesis and come back over here and get my other parenthesis because I need to divide this by shift parenthesis APR divided by compounds, shift parenthesis. There we go. I think everything's good. I have, oh, I put this in the wrong place. I need my parenthesis here. I think everything is looking good. Just double checking. Let's, moment of truth is pressing equal. Did it match? Nope. So something went wrong. Usually I would stop my recording, but I want to troubleshoot some things and make sure that I did everything right so that you can go back and troubleshoot your own. Okay, so what did we do? We have my cell reference of 1,000 times 1 plus APR divided by 12 raised to the B20. Good, I want to check it with 9. Add it to my next one. Oh, did I have my parenthesis in the right spot before? Let's check. Oh, there we go. I thought I was fixing it and I unfixed it. Well, there we go. So now you know how to troubleshoot. Go back, take it one at a time, and one nice thing about Excel is that it's going to highlight the colors so that you can go see which cell it's referencing. Oh, well, I'm glad that we got that fixed. Now, that was using the formula method, but using Excel with the formula method because we're referencing cells up here. And when I personalize this and change this to $2,000, it changes all of this. It changes this. Oh, actually, it didn't change that because I have to go back and reference that. We'll do that in a minute. And here, it already changed that. So I just realized I told you to do this wrong. I said paste the value. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to press equals and just reference this cell and it will always reference this number. So that was my mistake. I'm glad we kept going and I fixed that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is I want to know how you got this answer here. So I'm going to highlight this, copy, right click, copy. Come down here. Now remember, oops, Control Z, press enter so we get out of that cell. It's always easy to do that. So now I don't want this to calculate, so I'm going to press a little quotation or something and then press Control Z. And it tells me what I did for this cell. That's mostly a tool for the on-campus classes because when you submit this to me, you're actually submitting the file, so I can click here and see what you did. On campus, they can't do that. They print it out, and so this just shows that they actually know what they're doing. Okay, let's move on to the Excel method. Wait, I did want to address one thing. Some of you who aren't as familiar with Excel are thinking, why didn't she absolute cell reference any of these? The reason I didn't is I'm not going to click and drag this anywhere. I know I was just finding the answer. If I was going to click and drag, then I need to make sure that those things I want to stay put would stay put, but in this case I didn't need to. Now, this is going to blow your mind if you haven't seen this one. The Excel method is really easy and nice. So I'm going to press equals. Now Excel already has some built-in formulas and functions, and the one we want is called future value. Now future value always calculates as negative, and we have made an investment. So to make it a positive number, I'm going to put a negative beforehand, and then type FV, future value, and it's showing you right there, future value. So I can double click it. I can just go ahead and press Shift 9 for my parenthesis. It's up to you. Now it's even prompting me with what I need to put in each space and separate it with a comma down here. Now the rate, I need to come up and I want to cell reference, remember, because when I change this, I want it all to change with me. So I'm going to reference my rate. Now remember, I'm compounding, and compounding means that I take this 8% and I'm getting it spread throughout the entire year. I'm getting a little bit of the 8% here, 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 and here. In fact, I'm getting it every month, which means I'm getting a little bit more than the actual 8%, which is where we talked about APY in the video lectures. So I need to divide this by my compounds because I'm getting more than that. Then I press my comma. Now I'm going to come down. Now that was not telling, or it wasn't really prompted in that rate. That's something you have to know. Now that I have divided it by 12, it's asking for the number of periods. Now usually we take the n, which would be 12, and times it by how many years. Because if it's for 5 years, you times it by 12, you get 60, 2 years is 24. But in this case, we aren't going to make it all the way. We're checking it with month 9. Okay, so now I've referenced month 9, comma. My payment is up here. Come down, and now I need a comma again. Present value. Because I made an initial principal investment, oh, and I changed it to 2000, we can change it back to check with your sheet on the PDF. But my present value was what I initially invested. And type means this is just asking about whether you're making this payment at the beginning or the end of the month. Don't worry about it. Just press enter. You actually don't even need to put the present value or the type in when you're doing these later. These brackets here say that that is optional. You can close the parenthesis. You cannot close it. It's up to you. Just pressing enter. And you'll notice they're the same. So we have so many different ways of doing an annuity. We can do it the iteration method. Iteration meaning that it's coming every single month and we're showing what's happening every single month. Here's the iteration method. And down here you can use the formula method, which uses the compound interest formula, which is in your book. Or the Excel method, which you just type in a couple of numbers and it automatically has those formulas for you. But again, we need to copy and paste your equation in. So I'm going to come in here, copy, right click, copy. Now remember, I've done this 3 times now. If I click out of here, it's going to reference another cell. So I'm going to press enter. Now in here, some sort of symbol so it won't calculate with that equal sign. And then press Control V, enter, there you go. Now that this is beautiful and perfect, and I'm going to change this back so that we can have you double check on yours, because I think that some of you will be pausing this and going back and forth. Also, you'll notice on your PDF, if you're looking at your PDF, everything is also matching. Just double checking and make sure it's there. I've had lots of students who will go through and type in every single individual cell using the PDF. This is silly because it's so much faster just to know how it works, especially because we're going to get our next project, which is the mortgage project, which is huge, and you'll need to know how to use Excel as Excel. Now, to personalize your project, please change these 4 cells to your own whatever you want. This is some sort of an investment. So if you want to try and make it personable and applicable, let's say you have $240 you want and you are going to compound it, let's say twice a year because it's not very easy to find something that's going to compound 12 months, or you can even look up on the internet and find something. APR, it's hard to find something decent, so maybe it's 3.21 or 241, and then you don't have a lot of money, so we're only going to make $5 payments. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you do need to, oops, change all 4 of those cells to personalize it to you. Here's our grading rubric. Make sure that everything's filled in correctly. I will be checking your cells. Change every single given and make sure that you have the total interest down here. We did the sum. You have your iteration method and how you got it, or the equation, the formula method and the work, formula and the work, and the Excel method and your work shown, how you found that, and then the ponder and prove paragraph down at the bottom. Good luck on your project!